Alright guys, today we're going to talk about the center line of the body. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it is. Some people get this confused, especially beginners. But what is the center line in Wing Chun? And why is it so important? I'll tell you where it is, I'll tell you why it's important for defense and also for offense. What is the center line of the body? Everyone has a center line. Some people think it's this way. It's actually not. It is the axis of the body. So remember that about the center line. And it is not on the surface. It is in the middle of your body. Just like the earth rotates on an axis, well, that is the idea of the center line, right smack in the middle of the body. So if you're looking at me from this direction, it's through here. But if you're looking at me from this direction, it's through here. If you're over here, then it's going to through here. It's never on the surface of the body, it's in the middle. All right, so now you know exactly where that center line is. Now, how far does it run up and down? It's up and down. It's all the way from the top of me, all the way to the ground. There's a center line there. Now that you know what it is, let me help you understand why it's so important to Wing Chun. Now, the center line is actually our goal for everything we do. We really believe that the center line is our target. And when we can control the center line, we can control the origins of movements, whether that be kicks, arms, anything that's coming at us. We're going to control that center line, and that's the origin of things. So when someone is trying to come and punch you around here, if you punch them, boom, right there first, all right, then you've controlled the center line. All right, that is the center line of the body. If someone is coming into you and you control that and go towards their center line, then you can control them. If we were to hit someone here, they can still hit. If we are to hit someone on the center line, they're stopped. Okay, so that's going to be another way to find exactly where that center line is. It's hard to sometimes tell if someone's sideways. Where's their center? Is it over here a little, over here? Well, when you actually push or hit someone in that center, it's the place where they can't rotate out of, right? And this is now getting into the idea of why we defend our own center line and why we go to the other center line. Everything there's a saying in Wing Chun, punches come from the heart. Well, in other words, our movements originate from our center line. They don't originate from out here, okay? Because we want to simultaneously protect our center and go directly to their center. Now we use our elbow and our forearm to protect us as we simultaneously attack. Seeing it from the side, but it's coming right on in here, and we can slice, wedge their energy away as we go to their center. What's more, it's very difficult for someone to even see things that come along what we call here, this line, this central plane. And this central plane goes up and down. It's between your center and my center. So it goes up and down. It's the most efficient path to take in order to get to the other person. We also call that the freeway because it's very difficult for people to defend against something there. It's also very difficult for people to see things that are coming this way because you need more depth in order to see when things are coming. So when it comes from this line, it's hard to tell how far away it is, right? So that's another part of coming from our center and going to the other person's center. The goal of us is to attack that center line, and that is the constant goal of Wing Chun. You know, other martial arts don't always have the center line in mind, but Wing Chun does. That's the the number one goal. Always remember your number one goal is to get to that center. There's something called chasing hands in Wing Chun, which is a bad thing. Now, we chase hands when we are worried too much about these other things coming at us, defending against these things coming at us. Well, we defend on our way to the center line of the other person. So really, our goal is the center line. So as something comes at us, even if it's round, okay, fine, we'll use different things to defend that on our way to the center. Never try to swipe out or do blocks outward because they just aren't going to the center line. That is a clear definition of chasing hands, which is, again, a bad thing in Wing Chun. So make sure you go straight to the center of the other person as you're defending, as you're attacking. Wing Chun does both at the same time. That's why it's a little harder at first to kind of wrap your mind around, because it's not just doing one thing, and it's not just for one thing. It's not just for defense, it's for offense at the same time, right? So make sure you understand that when someone's coming at us, we're going to try to defend while attacking, because if we only defend, honestly, that's one of the worst kinds of defenses. We need to take it to them. Wing Chun takes it to them and goes right to their center line and makes them think about defending themselves. Center line, what else am I missing on the center line? Making sure all your movements are coming from the center line, not out here. So you want to protect yourself, you'll come the most efficient line. And you'll dominate that. If you can dominate the center line, the central plane in between, and dominate their center the whole time, there's very little that they can do at that moment. There's actually nothing. If you can dominate that center, they can't get away, right? So you're constantly having that finger on the pulse or the hands on their center. And then when they go to move, oh, they're out of structure and you can come right on in. This is true for when you're practicing the dummy to constantly go to the center line. Now there are some moves in the dummy when it looks like maybe a bong sao, it looks like we're not going to the center. That just means that the center has actually moved in that. So if sometimes we don't go exactly to the trunk of the wooden dummy, that doesn't mean we're not going to the center still. It just means that the dummy is limited because it just stands still. But in order to make it feel like a person and to be able to demonstrate the same kind of feeling that we have with a person on the dummy, sometimes you have to go away from the trunk of the dummy. Doesn't mean you're going away from the center line of a person. All right, keep that in mind. So everything's to the center. Feel free to ask me questions about the center line. It's super important that you understand that it is not just the surface of the body, it's right in the middle. And when we can occupy, that is the goal of Wing Chun, is to occupy the center line, okay? To occupy that. And when we can occupy their center line, what they do is they get displaced out of that place. We're not actually hitting them on the surface, and we're not, and we're not really trying to move them per se. They get moved as a byproduct of our occupation of their center. Occupy their center. Take your knees, elbows, eyes, and all have them go right into the center of the other person. I'm Adam Willis. If you're interested in my 90-day Wing Chun course, it's online at wingchunlessons.com. It is a 90-day program that goes through Sunum Tao, the wooden dummy. You can do it in the air if you don't have a dummy, that's perfectly fine. Goes through simultaneous attack and defense, some energy drills, important concepts, structure, a lot of material in this 90 days. wingchunlessons.com. Thank you again.